Hello, and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the 7th grade concept of solving graphs. This is standard 7.6G in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 11 of the 2024 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. All right, so we have a survey of a company here asking how employees get to work, and we've got percentages. So this is a circle graph here, but it's a percentage circle graph. Now, how many more people we see this and we're thinking, oh, that's easy. We're just going to subtract, which is, what we do when we see how many more. We're using that to compare. Use a car and ride a bicycle. Okay, so I see car. I don't have anything next to bicycle. So that's going to be our first step here. What is a bicycle? So what we need to know is that if it's a percentage circle graph, that means the entire graph, the whole thing, is one whole, right? So that equals 100%. So when we're trying to figure out what's going on with the bicycle, well, we can think, well, I've got my car at 38%. I've got my bus at 20%. And I've got my train at 32%. Right? If all of that plus the bicycle is supposed to equal 100%, let's just see how much these three are. Okay? So 8 and 2 is going to be 10, right? And I've got 1 and 3 is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 90%. All right, so if these three right here are 90%, well, then that means that bicycle is going to have to be 100 minus 90 or 10%. All right, so let's label our bicycle as 10%. And they did draw it to scale, and that, if you double the bicycle, you'd get the same as the bus, and that kind of makes sense. All right, so we've got 10%. So how many more people use a car than ride a bicycle? So if you're thinking, oh, that's pretty easy, that's 38 minus 10 equals 28, you are actually incorrect. Unless this had 100 people, you can't do that because that's not a 38. It's a 38%. It's not a 10. It's a 10%. So there is a 28% difference between the car and the bicycle. And it only works if there's 100 people. There's not 100 people. There are 150 people. So what we can do here is we can multiply that 28%, right? And we can take that of 150. If we do that, then we'll get the actual number. So let's think about different ways to do that. We could set up a proportion. Honestly, I find it easiest just to change that into a decimal, right? 0.28, and then just multiply. 28% is the same as 0.28. So that's going to be 0, that's 40, that's 120. And then I've got, starting with a 0, another 0, a 10, and I've got a 3. Okay, so put those together. I've got 4,200. I've got 2 digits behind the decimal in the factors. I've got 2 digits behind the decimal. There, 42. So that's looking good. Another way to think about this, right, could be if 28% of 100, right, that would equal 28. I need to get to 150. So if I take half of that 28, that would get me so there's the 100 and there's the 50. Put that together, I still get my 42. So there's quite a few different ways. You could have taken the 38% of 150 and then the 10% of 150, but then you just have to subtract those two answers. But either way, your answer here is C.